Welcome to this presentation on the Minelab x-terra and the rewarding hobby of metal detecting. Now, metal detecting is a great way of meeting new friends and finding pieces of lost history. Now, Minelab makes some of the most advanced metal detectors on the market today. And here we have the x-terra 30 and the x-terra 50. And this is what we're going to cover in this presentation.
We'll tell you a bit about the history of Minelab, from the beginning in gold detecting to the latest advanced machines. We'll take you through the technology behind the x-terra and show you the basics of how the machine operates. We'll explain a bit about clubs and rallies you can attend as part of being a member of a metal detecting club and the online support community that's available to you. We'll show you some of the typical types of finds from both the UK and the US, and we'll take you through the basics of responsible metal detecting.
Now, Minelab were established in 1985 and they have corporate offices in Australia, the USA and also here in Ireland. Now, in 1986 their core focus was on gold detecting, and they developed a machine called the Gold Seeker 15,000 that could deal with mineralization. And a guy called Bruce Candy came onto the scene because he developed the technology to solve the mineralization problem. The success of this new technology for gold detecting started a second gold rush in the gold fields of Australia. A few years later, they modified the gold detecting technology for use in relic and coin and jewellery detecting, and the metal detectors capable of discrimination were born. Minelab is a technology-focused company that's committed to pushing the envelope with cutting-edge technology in their detectors. They also have support and service centres all over the world, where they employ not people who just sell you a detector, but experts in the field of detecting who can answer your questions. Minelab is also a world leader in demining technology, and they supply mine detectors to both United Nations and the US Department of Defense. Now, if you have any questions for Minelab, here is their contact information. Now, here we are in Ireland with Des Dunn. And Des, Minelab have made this new machine called the x-terra, and it has very special patented technology called VFlex. Can you tell us something about the VFlex technology, please?
VFlex is the integration of digital and mixed signal components to enhance standard single frequency VLF technology by replacing most of the analog circuitry with digital signal processing. The small amount of analog circuitry still employed has been very carefully designed and calibrated to obtain the outstanding sensitivity and stability. This departure from traditional approaches to metal detector design has been made possible through huge advances in portable electronics, miniature devices such as Walkman devices, iPods, cell phones, etc. What this means for the x-terra user is dependable performance and improved immunity to things like ground, mineralization, electromagnetic interference and variations in temperature. VFlex requires coils that are specifically hand-built and calibrated to a very high standard. Each time the detector starts up, a primary microprocessor begins a conversation with the coil. The processor in the control box begins the digital signal processing, and then a second microprocessor in the search coil recognizes number 1, the coil type, number 2, the coil size, and number 3, the frequency of the coil being used. This is very, very good for the detector user because what it means is it future-proofs the x-terra. The advantage to the user is you can vary the search coils on different sites in your search for different objects in different soils without having to change detectors. You need only change coils. These accessory coils for the x-terra will be available in different configurations and different sizes, and that, in a nutshell, is what VFlex is all about, Gary.
Cool. Now you know a little bit more about the VFlex technology. Let's take a look at the control panel. Okay, that's different. Let's do it this way then. Power button. Switches the machine on and off, erases patterns, and also sets it back to factory default settings. The menu select button accesses more of the detector settings. Now on both models you can access the sensitivity and the volume of the detector. On the x-terra 50, the button also gives you access to the noise cancel function. Now the pinpoint detect button has two functions. The pinpoint button allows you to precisely locate your target, and we'll tell you more about that later. Now when you're in the main menu, you can press the detect function and it will take you back to the detecting mode. The plus and minus buttons adjust settings. They also scroll through the discrimination segments. The patterns button on the Model 30 switches between all metal mode and the discrimination pattern. On the Model 50 you will find the pattern button switches between the number 1 and the number 2 discrimination patterns. The accept reject button allows you to accept or reject specific targets. It also allows you to edit your discrimination pattern. Now for those of you who purchased the x-terra 50, you will see that you have two extra buttons. You have the all metal button and the ground balance button. By pressing the all metal button you enter the all metal mode. This means that your detector will pick up all metals. By pressing the ground balance button you enter the manual settings for ground balancing. We will cover that later.
Now let's move on to the display elements. The disc patterns indicator shows the current detecting mode that is being used. The Model 50 x-terra has three modes, all metal and two discrimination patterns. The Model 30 has two, all metal and one discrimination pattern. The depth indicator shows the approximate distance from the coil to the target. One icon represents a distance of 0 to 2 inches from the coil. 5 icons showing represents a distance of 8 inches or more from the coil. The headphone indicator shows that the headphones are connected to the detector. This icon will disappear if the headphones are disconnected from the detector. Using headphones will also increase your battery life. The battery indicator shows you how much charge is in the installed batteries. The two black segments indicate a full charge. One black segment indicates half a charge and an empty flashing icon indicates that the battery power is low. The numeric target ID appears here. The numbers range from -4 to 44 on the Model 30 and from -9 to 45 on the Model 50. Negative numbers represent ferrous targets or a target that contains iron, and positive numbers indicate non-ferrous targets. The number will be accompanied by a low, medium or high tone that corresponds to the number displayed. Ferrous objects will give a low-pitched audio response. Non-ferrous objects will give a medium to high-pitched audio response. The discrimination scale here shown is another way of displaying target information. When a target is detected, a segment on the scale will appear that corresponds to the numeric value of the target. The discrimination scale also shows what metals are ejected and accepted.
Now that you've learnt the basics of the control panel, let's move on to the things you need to know before you start swinging your detector. So let's go over to the USA and meet a good friend of mine and colleague, Pat Watson, who's going to be covering noise cancel and ground balancing the machine. Right, you have an x-terra 50,
yep.
I have an x-terra 30.
Yep.
There is a difference between these detectors because you have an extra button on yours.
Two extra buttons.
Two extra buttons,
Yep.
sorry. And one is ground balance.
Correct.
Now, can you tell me what is the ground balancing and why you need to ground balance the machine?
Yes. Ground balancing basically is just the adjustment of the detector to any mineralization that could be in the soil. That could cause the detector to behave very erratically, give you false signals. You wouldn't be able to pick up the signals that actually are in the ground. So that's the indication that you need to ground balance. And there is a difference between these two machines. The 30 has fixed ground balancing.
Okay.
There's no adjustment, but it is set to handle most ground conditions.
Okay.
But the 50 does have a ground balance, a manual adjustment.
Okay.
And should I show you how that works?
Please do.
Turn the detector on.
All right.
Start up tone. And you need to find a place where there is no metal in the ground to do this ground balancing.
Okay,
Start
so the metal will affect it, yeah?
It will affect it.
Okay.
So make sure there's no metal around where your coil is.
Right.
And then you hit your ground balance button. And see you got that high tone.
Right.
What you want is a balance between high and low tones. In fact, you want as close to no tone as you can get. You want to get the coil down as low as you can get it without actually touching the ground, if you can manage that. So if
Okay.
you touch the ground, it could knock the ground balancing off a little
So
bit.
the ground balancing is knocking out the mineralization in the soil
Yeah.
of it and stuff. Okay.
It's nulling out any interference that could be in the ground,
Okay.
basically.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a high tone, so that means we need to use the minus key to drop the number down. It was on 10, there's 9. Still high. Okay, it's still high, but it's almost gone. There's 6, and you hear a low tone coming in. You go a little further, and you really get a loud low tone, so we need to go back up to between 6. It's still a little loud. 7. A little bit of a high tone, but it's not very loud, so that's about where you want to go. So hit your pinpoint detect button, and you're ready to go.
How often do we ground balance? Is there?
If the machine becomes erratic, if it starts acting strangely to you, if you detect an acre field and you get halfway through and the machine starts acting up, then you should ground balance or noise cancel, which we'll cover in a second too.
Okay.
So I mean, you ground balance just as often as you need to. You'll have to learn the machine to know when you should, but do it as often as you need to.
Cool. Thanks for that, Pat.
Okay.
Great explanation.
Noise cancel is the other thing.
Oh, we're doing that as well?
We're doing that as well.
All right.
Noise cancel is the other thing, and noise cancel is similar to ground balancing.
Do I have this on the 30?
No, you do
Okay.
not. You have, on the 50 only.
Okay, right.
Noise cancel means adjusting the detector to any electrical interference, which could be caused by power lines, satellite dishes, things of that nature.
Right.
Even electrical fences is where questions get.
Yeah. Is that, I mean, I've used many of Minelab detectors. That's also good when you've got a few of the same detectors
Absolutely.
with you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it cuts them out.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely, because you could be interfering with somebody else's detector or vice versa.
Okay.
So you go into noise cancel
Cool.
and adjust that. With the x-terra 50, you have 3 adjustments, 3
Right.
different stages.
Yeah.
And to noise cancel, the coil needs to be flat on the ground,
Right.
still,
Right.
as possible. Hit your menu select button. It's on sensitivity. Hit it twice more. There's volume, and there's noise channel. It's on setting 1. Now, if you have to change it, use your minus key to 0. You'll hear that tone. That means it's done. And at that point, if the machine is stable, you hit your pinpoint detect button, and away you go. If you have to do it again, same procedure. And the menu button remembers your last setting where you were, so you just hit it once for noise cancel. Hit the minus button to go down to -1. And there it is. Pinpoint detect, and you're ready to go. Did you know that Alexander Graham Bell is given credit for inventing the first metal detector in 1881? President Garfield, the U.S. president at the time, had been shot, and Bell was called in to try to detect the bullet in his body. He couldn't detect it, but later on they found out that the reason he couldn't detect it was because the president had been laid out on a coil spring mattress.
Well, here we are with a good mate of mine, Gordon Heritage. Been out on a few rallies together, haven't we, Gordon?
We
Found
have,
some
yes,
stuff.
Gary.
You're detecting with which model?
This is the x-terra 50, Gary.
Detector 50. And you're going to show us how to pinpoint, yeah?
Yes, I'm going to show you how to pinpoint.
Okay.
Right, Gary, I buried a penny in front of us so I
Okay.
can demonstrate how the pinpoint works.
Right.
Now, the idea of pinpoint is to actually find out exactly where the coin is in the ground before we actually dig
Okay.
it. Okay, so we swing across. There it is, roughly there. Push the pinpoint detect button.
Okay.
Okay. And when the actual tone reaches the high point,
Right.
that is when it is right in the middle of the actual coil.
Okay.
Okay?
So it's about there, yeah?
Yeah, about there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now if you also have a look at the meter,
Right.
you'll see that there's an inner circle, and when the inner circle comes to the top, the highest point,
Oh, so it's like making a horseshoe shape.
and when they at the highest point, that's
Okay.
when the the target is directly in the centre of the
Alright,
coil.
so when we get the full horseshoe. Okay, cool.
Okay,
Should we get out of the ground anyway?
yeah, let's get out of the ground. See how good I am at pinpoint.
Yeah. There we go. Oh, so you're waving it across the coil there and in your hand, right? Yeah. Okay, cool.
If you've got a probe, you can use a probe to
Right.
actually find it, but as this is sand, it's an easy way of doing it.
There you go.
There you go. One.
Great, easy, isn't it? That was well done. Did you know if you're new to the hobby of metal detecting, or you've been detecting for over 20 odd years, you will always learn something new. Log on to minelab.com, the Minelab factory site there. There you can see all the latest machines and all the latest developments. Log on to minelabowners.com, the world's largest Minelab relating detecting forum. Here you'll meet over 3,000 people who use Minelab machines and will share their experiences with you. Now also, if you join a detecting club, there you'll also meet a lot of friends with the same hobby as you, and you'll be able to go on rallies and learn so much. Can you show me discrimination, how to accept and reject things?
I sure can.
But can we do it on the 30?
Yep,
Is
no
that
problems
alright?
at all.
Alright, let's check that. We'll have one of those on there. Give that over there to the stagehand. There we go.
Okay.
Now what exactly are we going to do here?
Right, we're going to find 2 or 3 rubbish signals.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'm going to edit those out
Right.
and show you how you can find the good signals.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Switch it on. Okay, to start with, I put a pull tab,
Right.
and I'm going to swing across the pull tab.
Okay.
Okay. As you can see, number 12 comes up
Right.
on the screen.
Okay.
Now, if I straight away hit the accept reject button,
Right.
that will now reject all signals
Oh, so
at
when you
number
get the
12.
when you get the cross, that means it's going to reject it, yeah?
That is
Okay.
now rejected.
Cool.
So if I go across it again,
That is pretty nifty, actually.
it disappears.
Yeah.
Very, very simple. Okay, now there's a bit of tin foil there.
Yeah.
I go across the tin foil,
Yeah.
again, registers, and it comes up with number 4.
Okay.
So I hit reject, and now that has gone as well.
Let's try it with a dime.
Okay, throw
dime.
down the dime. Okay, there's the dime. That's a 36 signal,
Okay.
quite a high signal.
Yeah.
Now, I take it in America, a lot of the times they want to reject the dimes. Okay.
I would.
Yeah, okay, so we reject it,
Yeah.
and now that has disappeared.
Now, if I wanted to find the dime again, is it easy to? Oh, if we want to find
Yeah,
dimes.
it sure is, because all you've got to do is actually find the 36,
Yeah.
okay, and click the button again,
Yeah.
and
That is pretty cool, isn't it?
It is.
Let's try it on a €2. I'm into this. Let's try it on a €2.
okay, there's the €2. I've now rejected the dime,
Yeah.
rejected the tab,
Yeah.
and rejected the tin foil.
Okay. Does it find the euro?
It does.
Brilliant. Imagine how much time that's going to save you on the beach.
Yeah, it's an impressive, very impressive discrimination system on these x-terras. Did you know the first practical electronic mine detector was invented by a Polish army lieutenant called Józef Stanislaw Kozaki while stationed in Scotland following the German defeat of Poland in 1939?
Now, while I was in the US with Pat and in the UK with Gordon, they both showed me some of the typical finds of their area. Let's go back and take a look at the finds that they showed me. Will you show us some of the finds that you find in the US?
Some of the typical finds.
yeah, typical
for sure.
finds, yeah.
Okay. These are common in my area in the south. These are called harness buckles, or actually buckles off of horse tack.
Oh, right.
And I find these a lot, actually. I find a lot of these, not the same style, but I do find a lot that are used for the same purpose.
Okay,
Hold those.
yes, please. They're quite heavy, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I find those and a lot of, I don't have any with me, but a lot of iron rings as well, which is
Okay.
the old-fashioned version of that.
Right,
I find a lot
cool.
on my family's farm.
Put those here so I don't want to lose them.
Yep. This is a very
Oops, lost it.
nondescript high school class ring.
Look at that.
Can't tell. I mean, it's just it feels like it's made of lead. It's not even a precious metal, I don't think. It's just a
Okay.
very, very cheap one, but interesting find.
Also, is that glass in the middle? or
It is glass. It's not a
Okay.
precious stone at all. No, no.
Right, okay.
Okay. A few silver coins, common finds.
Yeah.
This is
Silver coins, common find.
well, these are common silver coin finds for us.
Right.
Say 1964 quarter dollar,
Right.
2 Roosevelt dimes, 1947 and 1954, and then a Mercury dime, 1935. Those are, I mean, you find a lot of these in our area as well.
Okay.
And I don't have any of the less common finds, the barber dimes, those things like that.
Okay.
But that's some
Are
of the
they
more
worth
common
money,
things.
are they?
Not really.
Okay.
The
The barber dimes.
If they were in perfect condition, it'd be worth a bit of money. Yeah, but
Okay.
these aren't really worth
Right.
that much. They're just nice to find silver rather than clad occasionally. You know.
Okay, yeah. I like the sound of
I
silver.
do find a lot of clad.
Yeah.
Don't have
What's
any with me.
clad?
Clad is it's the sandwiched pressed coins. It's
Okay.
not precious metal anymore.
Okay, right.
We don't have.
With you.
It's like the UK as well.
Right,
We
okay.
don't have any precious metal coins. This is what remains of a very cheap, very old wedding ring.
Really?
Yeah, it's you can see that it actually is gilded. Actually, it's gold on the inside. All of it's worn off on the outside. It's been hit with a plow several times. I guess you can probably see that gold.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
I almost didn't dig it because it sounded so weird, but I did. This is from the Civil War. This is a rimfire cartridge from a Spencer carbine,
Okay.
and it was. I think this one was found somewhere in Virginia.
How old is that thing?
Yes, our Civil War was early 1860s, so
Okay.
it's not that. It's old for us, but it's not that old in comparison.
Well,
to
I never
other
said-
stuff.
I never said
know,
that.
I know. It's old for us, and it's a great find.
Yeah.
I didn't find this, and it was a friend that found this.
Okay, cool.
But I brought it along to show you just another
Right.
example. This one is from a musket, and it is one that's three grooves here,
Right.
and it's got a stud on the bottom. And the reason that's there is this is called a Williams bullet. There was a washer on the base of the bullet,
Okay.
a zinc washer, I believe,
Right.
that was used to help scour away fouling in the barrel.
Really?
Yeah, unburnt powder
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
fouling.
Cool.
And they have to clean the barrel every so often, otherwise
Wow.
you won't be able to jam the next
Wow.
bullet down. So that's kind of interesting. A lot of lead dust to make sure you wash your
Yeah.
hands. Did you know that lots of times people will overpower their machine? You can turn your sensitivity up way too high and start to mask targets in the ground. Most of the targets you're going to find are going to be within the first 6 inches of the soil anyway, so back off your sensitivity if the machine starts acting erratically, and you'll find those finds.
Well, Gordon, you're going to show us some of the typical finds you find around and about?
Yeah, first of all, I'm going to show you the hammered coins. Now these are what most UK detectorists are trying to find. That is a long cross penny.
How old is that?
That, I think that's a 13th century coin.
Okay, long cross
Okay.
penny.
And then what they used to do is they used to cut them into half pennies.
Used to cut that up into half?
Yeah, you can see the lines, see the cross. They used
Yeah.
to cut along the cross, and if you have a look,
Oh, right.
you can actually see
Yeah.
it's being cut across the
Okay.
cross.
Yeah.
And then they used to cut them again into quarters.
Right.
Now these quarters used to be called the fourth thing.
The what?
The fourth thing. You
The
know,
fourth-
give me,
the
give me
fourth thing.
the fourth thing, and that's where
The English-
word farthing.
Yeah,
came from.
English farm, the fourth thing, fourth thing. I never knew that. That's pretty cool.
Okay, this is an Edward I long cross penny.
How old is that one?
They're later, a little bit later
Okay.
than the others.
Right.
I think
Long cross, short
going into
cross.
14th century. These tend to be the most common, well, apart from the Tudor coins, the most common medieval coin found.
Okay.
Edward I, second, third.
Right.
Okay, I think this one is a recent find. I haven't really looked at that. I think that's an Elizabeth I.
Elizabeth I. Well, these
something
are
of these.
all silver. These people.
These
Are
these
they
all
100% silver? Or?
Yeah, the actual standard went up and down, but
Okay.
they're as close as possible to sterling
Right.
silver.
Okay.
This one's a bit older. This is a bit broken, but that's a Roman silver coin. That's quite a late Roman silver
Roman. So
coin.
how old is that?
We're now talking over 1,500 years old. Did you know that one of the most important assets for any detectorist is to have a healthy imagination?
And I think it's about time we got a bit of footage of somebody using the machine.
Yep, no
Are you
problem.
going to go out and
I'm gonna
have
go
a go?
out and
Tell
I'm
us what you
gonna
think?
find something.
Go on then, mate. Off you go. We'll call you back in a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay, go on, you've been out on the machine. Can you give me your first impressions of it, please?
I sure can, Gary. I mean, I've been detecting now for an hour, and this machine is so light in the stubble that I hardly feel that I've been detecting at all.
That's great. What about the display? Is it easy to look at? Or?
Yeah, the display is very, very easy to look at, and it's very, very easy to actually move through the controls.
Yeah.
It's very logically.
The thing that impressed me when you showed us about the discrimination was how it can cut the junk out. In other words, as you spend less time digging up the rubbish, don't you? Really?
That's right. Yeah. I must admit, though, on this particular stubble field, there are some very, very good signals here, and all I've done is taken out just the iron.
Okay, cool.
But it is very, very easy. Very, very easy to use.
There's one thing that sets this detector apart from any other detectors on the market today, Gordon, and it's something to do with this coil. Can I get one for mine here?
Not on the 30, but on the x-terra 50,
okay.
You can actually change the coil from the standard coil to a 18.7 kilohertz coil. This is a 7.5.
What's the difference between the 7.5?
Well, the 7.5 kilohertz goes very, very deep into the ground.
Okay.
The 18.75 kilohertz head won't go as deep, but it'll be very, very sensitive to small items.
So you mean that's real good for the hammer then, the thin silver hammer?
Yep, the 18.75, which this isn't, would be better for the hammer.
Cool. Well, have you had many signals?
I've had a few iffy signals.
What's an iffy signal?
An iffy signal is a signal where you're not quite sure if it is a deep piece of iron or if it's a nice deep coin.
But you've got doesn't the discrimination
Well,
tell you that?
no matter what, you'll have some where you're not quite sure.
Okay.
What I would suggest that with this detector, if it is iffy, dig it, because so far every iffy signal I've dug has turned out to be a coin.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know when you buy a machine from Minelab, you're not only getting a metal detector, you're getting the global support system that goes with it. Any questions? Pick up the phone. Call Minelab. So you've got the x-terra 50?
The Model 50.
Yeah, and I've got the 30 here.
Yep.
We're on the beach.
Yep.
Can you go and detect a little bit?
Yep.
And come back and tell us what you think about it?
Sure will. Okay.
Yeah? Great. Well, Pat, you've been detecting for quite a few years now.
Yeah, I have.
And you've been out with the x-terra 50?
Yep. I went out with it for a while.
Yeah, I'd like you to tell us what you think about it. First of all, what are these here?
Oh,
what are they
gloves.
for? Gloves?
Yeah, I wear gloves when I detect. It's part of my kit, what I use. Gloves, that protect your hands against broken bottles and some other things like that.
Okay.
But also, it just keeps your hands clean and keeps you from destroying your fingernails if you dig your hole in the soil and then start digging with your hands, which I do. I do all the time.
I don't wear them.
Yeah, I've noticed that. That's all right. That's part of my kit. But I'll use this, and I also use a fines bag strapped to my belt.
Yeah.
And also just a small hand trowel for the beach, especially because it's not hard soil, so this is all I really need. You can also use a long-handled treasure scoop, but this is fine for what I use, what I do. Yeah.
You sound like penny whistles these when the wind's blowing through.
Yeah, the wind's coming through.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't know if
So what? Come on then. Tell me, what did you find out, and what is your opinion on the x-terra 50?
Okay. The machine is extremely lightweight, which is good.
Yeah.
So I've been out for a couple hours now, and it's not fatiguing at all because it is so light. It's very easy to use. The control panel is very intuitive.
Okay.
It can be a turn on and go machine basically. You can pick it up, hit the power button, and walk off, and you don't have to spend 3 hours programming the thing to get it to do what you want to do. It's very, very sensitive on sand, dry sand, but wet sand most especially, so I did find I had to back off the sensitivity a bit.
Okay.
Otherwise it would start falsing on wet sand a bit because it is so sensitive.
I mean, have you done any tests with it? I mean, we've been out today. You haven't come back with any fancy gold rings or anything, have we?
Just odds and ends you found on the beach.
Yeah,
and, I did find a few ring tabs, pull tabs on top of soda cans, and find so many of those you want to just ignore those. So you sweep it across, one touch, reject, and they're gone.
But
so
if the gold was here, it would find it, wouldn't it?
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that's one thing I should mention about that though is, yes, it'll find gold no problem, but if you reject certain items close to around the foil or pull tabs,
Yeah.
you could be rejecting some types of gold.
Okay.
So I mean, really the only way to find all the good stuff is
Yeah.
to dig every signal.
All right.
But sometimes you don't have enough time to
Yeah,
do that.
yeah.
So you want to maximize your time
Yeah.
by rejecting some of the rubbish targets to
Yeah.
where you can find
Okay.
hopefully more of the good targets
Yeah.
in a short amount of time.
Okay.
Did you know that coil technique is one of the most important things you can remember as you metal detect? You need to make sure and keep your coil as close to the ground as possible. The higher the coil is off the ground, the less depth you get in the ground. So make sure and keep it as low as possible. Don't come up on your swings on the end. Make sure you keep your coil parallel to the ground at all times, and you'll find more.
From Pat Watson, Gordon Heritage, me, Gary Brown, and all the Minelab development team, get out there and find your hidden treasures. Yeah!